In this video, I'll be showing you how to add the nose and tail blocks to your board. The first thing we need to do is decide where we're going to make our cut in order to attach our nose and tail blocks. Where you make this cut is a bit of a personal design preference, but do keep in mind that the more material that you cut off, the larger your blocking material will be and the heavier your board will be overall. This is especially important if you're using a heavier hardwood like this black walnut that I'm using. So mark a horizontal line with a pencil across your board about 2 to 4 inches from the front and from the back of your board. It's easiest to find the center line first and then create a 90-degree cut line with your carpenter square. Next, you're going to use a handsaw or a circular saw with a track to cut a near perfect line all the way through the hollow board. Then use a piece of sandpaper and a flat block of wood to sand the ends perfectly flat so that all sides connect nicely to your nose and tail block material without any gaps. Don't throw away any of those excess pieces that you just trimmed off because you can use them to create the rough dimensions of your nose and tail block material. Your block should cover the newly cut opening completely, leaving a little bit of extra all the way around the cut that will be sanded off later. For my tail block, I'm using this thick piece of walnut I had left over from a furniture project. If you don't have this kind of thick dimensional lumber laying around, you can also glue together multiple pieces of lumber to create the desired thickness. We've seen a lot of customers use alternating species of lumber to create a unique stripe pattern as well, so feel free to get creative with this section. For my nose block, I'm using a few pieces of 5/4 thick walnut and gluing them together with some clamps and wood glue. And an optional step to reduce a little bit of weight from your solid blocks is to use a Forstner bit to remove some of the excess material that's going to be in the middle of that block. To attach these blocks to your board, apply plenty of polyurethane glue to the block material and to the exposed ends of the board where they connect. You'll want to have some strips of masking tape or duct tape ready to hold your nose and tail block to the board. Once it's in place and secure and you've checked that the block is covering the opening completely, use more tape strips to apply as much inward clamping pressure as you can to create a nice tight seal to your board. Once the glue is completely dried, the next step is to cut off the excess and create a nice smooth transition and shape. To do this, start by roughly cutting off the excess blocking material with a handsaw like this Japanese pole saw I'm using. With a saw like this, you can flush trim the blocking material by using the top, bottom, and side rails of your board as guides to make your cut. You can also add a little masking tape to the finished part of your board for a little added protection. This will give you a rough cut, so next you want to finish with an orbital sander to get closer to your final shape. Use your eyes and your hands to look and feel for symmetry in your blocks. I like to finish with a little hand sanding to finish the job of feathering in that transition till I'm satisfied. And that's it for adding your nose and tail blocks. In the next video, I'll show you how to sand your board to its final shape.